Now, 95.9 FM WATD presents Friends with Benefits, exploring relationships, social issues, and life stories. Be a part of the show at 781-837-4900. Friends with Benefits with your host, Brian Stratton.
95.9 WATD, Friends with Benefits on a Wednesday night here in Halifax. Route 58 in Halifax. It's Grill 58. We're here live, simulcast, with our good friend Jay Gillespie. How you doing, Jay?
Good. How you doing, Brian? A little bit far away from the beach tonight, working on that beach body as always, but kind of a couple miles away.
You had me at a low.
Yeah.
Yep. How's the food?
Food is delicious here. Great stuff.
Grill 58. Dave Hatch, a good friend of mine, and Deb, and the whole gang here have set up operation over the years, and being right on Route 58 on the corner of 106 and 58.
That's the name.
Right across from Cumberland Farms. So it's a great atmosphere, great food, always packed here, even on the off nights.
This really is a nice atmosphere here. They got the fireplace, not that it's going to be cold for too much longer, but really kind of cozy here.
Yeah, I might cuddle with Larry Nelson, who is our engineer tonight.
Yeah, he's over there in the booth, actually. There's a little bit of space there.
He's not very inviting. That look I just got from him.
Kind of leering at you there. I don't know.
Absolutely. That's okay. Well, we'll scratch that off the list.
Okay.
So, listen, we have a special guest tonight. Many attempts over the last couple months. We have a esteemed airline pilot, but that's only an avocation. Basically, this guy's writing an amazing book called Square Peg, Round Hole.
But not while he's flying an airplane.
No, he does this. Good. He does this, and is well known all around the South Shore and all around. Welcome, Paul Parys.
It's great to be here, Brian. Jay.
Well,
great to have you.
Thanks for. I've been trying to corral you on the show for how long? Months and months?
Yes, quite a while, and glad it's finally worked out.
It's good because I know an airline pilot with your kind of schedule, it's just not an easy endeavor to commit a Wednesday night way ahead of time because you have a lot of responsibilities, of course.
I could be anywhere.
You could be anywhere internationally. So Paul is an international male and female relations expert and is, like I said, writing the book Square Peg, Round Hole, which basically says it all. And if you close your eyes and can imagine that concept, we're going to go over many things tonight. And if you're a caller and you have something you want to throw out there, 781-837-4900. That's 781-837-4900. And emailing ctamanagement@rocketmail.com. That is ctamanagement@rocketmail.com. We do have gift certificates to give away, too. I have a $25 gift certificate to give away from Cancun Restaurant in Kingston, Mass.
Good margaritas.
Amazing. That's exit 9.
Yeah, best margaritas on 106.
Absolutely. And Cinco de Mayo is just right around the corner.
It's true. Actually, it's down the hall and 2 doors to the left.
It is. Cinco de Mayo with Cancun, which will give away that 25. Just put in the subject heading Cancun gift card. We have the Longhorn Steakhouse, which is many of those. We have a $50 gift card to give away from them. If you go to ctamanagement@rocketmail.com, put in the subject heading Longhorn Steakhouse. And also, Grill 58 is giving out numerous gift cards tonight. $25 gift cards. We'll probably give out 5 or 6 anyway.
And this place is great.
The food is amazing. I had prime rib here a little ways back, and it was probably the best I have ever had.
It was prime.
It was primed, and it was perfect. And they have lots of experience. So put in the subject heading Grill 58. And we'll draw that out of a hat. You'll know in the next 48 hours if you have one. We generally get dozens and dozens and dozens of people looking to win these prizes. So, Paul, let's get to you. Square Peg, Round Hole. You want to tell us just a little inkling? The book isn't out yet, but tell us a little inkling of what got you to maybe want to be an author and write a book. Because we know you have a wealth of knowledge about this subject.
Well, I've always enjoyed writing. I've done quite a bit of writing, but not about relationships, more about technical matters and projects I worked on in the Marine Corps. But watching all my friends, watching couples I know, observing people doing the same thing over and over, working very hard in the wrong direction, I've come up to see a lot of patterns. And working on the book, which the chapters talk about all the various things people do continually. And what's that definition of insanity? You do the same thing over and over and expect different results.
Albert Einstein, right?
Yes.
So
he was an airline pilot.
No, he wanted to be.
Right, exactly.
Well, he was. What was
Not
he
that Albert Einstein, a different one.
20th century guy.
Right, exactly.
So, what's the number one mistake people make in dating, Paul, in your opinion, or referencing somebody else? Because now Paul Parys is very well read. I mean, he's been through The Manipulated Male. Who wrote that book? Was it?
You know what? It's a woman, and I don't remember the author. It's pretty old. That was written in like the 70s.
Okay.
Dr. Joyce Brothers?
Yeah. We have The Predatory Female, which, I mean, that's like your Bible.
Well, that's a great book that all young men should read. That's written by the Reverend Shannon Lawrence, and it's actually called The Field Guide to the Predatory Female.
Now that book,
Sibley's.
That book especially is a schematic, basically, of the female personality, so to speak, or trends, or
it's kind of like I'd say a schematic or a operating manual on how women think and what drives them and why. A lot of times men can't understand what women are doing and why they're doing it, and it explains it.
Kind of like the travel guide to Venus.
Right.
Yeah, yes, there you go.
And guys, listen, when you're scratching your head and you might have a female in the relationship where you're like, this defies logic, go get the book. I mean, the book, as I understand, was not even sold in bookstores at the time when it was released, or something similar to that effect, right?
Right. It was written in the 80s, and I think it was, at the time, it wasn't real politically correct. He actually talks about that in the book.
As relevant today as it was in the 80s.
Yes, I mean, very tough to get. You'll see. It's a paperback. You'll see used copies on Amazon for like $200 a copy.
Okay. Jesus. Well, you Google it, you'll find The Field Guide to the Predatory Female
by the Reverend Shannon Lawrence.
Also, you've read a book called The Game.
Yes.
Which is an
Neil Strauss, Pulitzer Prize-winning author. Great book.
Okay.
No relation to Levi.
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Good.
Any other books that you can reference tonight that you can think of?
There's.
I mean, you're so well read. I mean, before you wrote this book, you went through every manual you could get your hands on. You went to every yard sale, Amazon, whatever it took.
Every yard sale internationally,
right.
Everywhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of great ones out there. What is it? The Proper Care and Feeding of Your Husband by Dr. Laura. That's a great book.
The Bitch in the House.
The Bitch in the House.
Right? Is that FCC won't mind that, I'm sure.
I like the feeding part. That's good. Yeah.
Why don't we get to the number one mistake people make in dating, which is a popular subject. And Paul, why don't you start?
That's a great question. I think that's the most relevant question you could ask. Most people, when they start dating, it's a very big, you're looking for a life partner or somebody to potentially develop a serious relationship with. And people put less thought into it than buying a blender. If you needed a new car or a house, you would sit down and you'd be like, I need four-wheel drive, I need a roof rack, I need seating for 6. And you meet someone, you say, well, why are you going out with him or her? Well, I met him in a bar and they were cute. And the founder of eHarmony, I think it's Neil Warren Clark, he wrote a great book about this. It's called 2 Dates or Less. And after counseling lots of couples, I think a lot that were going through divorce and having marital problems, his advice is sit down and make a list of the 10 most important traits you would like in a significant other. Someone who likes to go to sporting events, someone who likes to ski or run, high energy.
Might like music.
Right, attractive, intelligent, whatever your top 10 traits are, and then make a list of the top 10 traits that you will not tolerate.
Well, what if they like mixed drinks? Then it could be a blender. You never know.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And then you could date a blender and it'd be perfect.
I actually take offense to that because I'm in a very involved relationship with a blender right now, so I'm extremely happy.
We're going to shut his mic off if you don't mind, Larry.
And then the other part is, the list of 10 things you can't stand. Someone who's materialistic or low energy or dishonest. And it's very easy on a first or second date to, if you see strikes, you're done. You don't develop and get in an involved relationship because it's doomed. And in his experience, he said all the people who overlooked things and said, well, Brian's kind of couch potato, but he's a good guy, makes a good living. What you'll end up getting divorced over is those things you passed over and made excuses for.
That's right. And those are great things to look at, because I remember roughly 20 or 75 years ago when I was on a first date, I was driving into Boston. We were going into the city. And I had picked this particular date up in Braintree, and by the time I got to Neponset, I already knew. I had heard enough. It was all over. I pulled off in Neponset, started turning around in 93. She said, "What are you doing?" I said, "This is a done deal. I can already tell. I've already gone through my top 10 here. You're out." So
Jay Gillespie, South Shore, Heartbreaker.
That's right.
That's awesome. We're going to call your book Half a Date or Less.
That's right.
No, how about half an hour or less? I mean, really. And not in the literal sense. But so anyways, back to the 10 mistakes people make in dating, which, you know what, you're right. People do take more care in buying clothes or buying jewelry or buying a car, any of that stuff.
They put very little thought in. They meet someone and say, wow, he or she is fun or cute. And then the longer what he says is the longer you go out, the more involved you get, the harder it is to break up. And it's a square peg and round hole.
Hence the title of the book. So, and honestly, dishonesty is a terrible trait, which is something that doesn't always rise to the surface until you're into the relationship for a while, which, unfortunately, all of us have been victims of with females, of course. It's reared its ugly head in many ways, shapes, or forms. And so how do you dictate that? How do you navigate and find and see through the weeds and find out somebody who has those terrible traits?
Well,
that's a tough question, I'm sure.
I think the whole purpose of dating, it's like test driving. You date, and the longer you date, the more you see behind the mask or the curtain. And generally, if you talk to most people who've had failed relationships, they'll tell you how, well, yeah, I saw this, I saw that, I watched that, but people ignore things. And
well, right. I mean, my take on it is, men, a lot of the time, good friends of mine, they see the red flag, and if you're a friend, you can beat them with that red flag, you can trip them with that red flag. They don't see it.
But some people are glutton for punishment. They're going to recreate this story over and over again. It's hard to stop.
My whole point is, Jay, is that, that red flag is there for a reason, of course. And many times, and we've all ignored that red flag. We have all, And ultimately, you hope the red flag goes away. You think you can change that individual. You can change that person. You cannot do that.
People are inexplicably themselves. Some people like the red flag. That's the problem.
Well, sometimes you're just so different from that person. It's
right, but good point, Jay. There's a lot of people you see that they like drama.
Right.
And I always say, if you want to know what's important to someone, watch what they do. Don't listen to what they say. And the person who tells you they don't like drama, but their life is always swirling with drama, pretty much speaks for itself.
Mm-hmm.
No, it really does. And so going back to the number one mistake people make in dating, see, here's one thing is there's a, I've noticed in some of my past relationships, especially recently, there's this thing called the bottomless pit. We've talked about this bottomless pit.
Yes, you don't want to date the bottomless pit.
But unfortunately, there's too much bottomless pit out there, which ultimately, when I say bottomless pit, what I mean is no matter what you do on a Saturday, by the time you've slept and Sunday morning rolls around and the computer is rebooted and the day started, you start from scratch again and you've got to recreate the good time you had on Saturday. So if you spent $500 shopping, done this, done that, and it was just a wonderful day, the bottomless pit rears its ugly head again on Sunday.
Well, I want to go shopping with you, Brian. $500. That's good.
You're looking kind of good, Jay.
Thanks very much.
Yes,
Paul, elaborate, please.
And the better you perform, the higher the bar is raised. You raise expectations, and yes, when you're with that type of individual, it's never good enough. You think, she wanted to do this, we did it, and it's like, great. Now I want to do this.
What are we doing tomorrow?
I want that. Yes.
How about the next day?
500 today, 1,000 tomorrow, 1,500 the next day.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, that brings me to another thing. Is what I've found out to my dealings is too. I think a lot of listen. There's a pyramid theory, and I will give I'm going to give a female credit out there for giving me this reference. I won't name her name, but the pyramid theory.
Is she Egyptian? Okay, just wondering.
She just may be.
Okay.
Women are like a pyramid. At the top of the pyramid is a pinnacle, and a very small percentage are at that pinnacle. And down on the bottom of the pyramid is the rest of them, the bottom feeders of that pyramid. And that's a percentage. I won't say a percentage. We'll say it later in the show, so people don't start shutting the show off. But it's a large percentage.
I totally agree with that. I just wouldn't, in this case, I wouldn't say just women. I'd say people. Exceptional people are exceptionally rare.
True. But tonight we're talking about, we're on the point of the female right now.
Okay.
So we'll go with the female for right now on that pyramid theory, because this female had referenced the pyramid theory only for females. You understand what I mean?
Okay.
So she said, basically she goes, I'm on the pinnacle, Brian, and the rest of them are bottom feeders. And she explained this to me, and it really made sense. But what her theory was that on the bottom is those money-grubbing, like money is the first priority, which we all know all about that, Paul. Is money a priority for the female out there? At this,
Definitely. Well, there's a lot of other words for it, like security. But yes.
But security. What?
Stability.
I want financial security.
Christ, financial.
I'm looking for financial security.
We've all gone out there where we've seen the guy with the dumpy middle, not even middle age, maybe in his 50s or 60s, with the attractive 40-something-year-old, 42, 43, 44-year-old. The guy looks like a grandfather. The woman looks like pretty good. But for some reason, they just connect. They just have so much in common. But usually the number one thing in common is the checkbook.
Right.
She likes his checkbook, and he has a good one.
Right, yes. What they have in common is he owns a large company.
And a lot of land, and lives in Duxbury or Wellesley or Canton or...
And a Jaguar.
or a BMW or whatever it is. But you follow what I'm saying, Paul?
Oh, totally.
Do you agree and concur with some of this?
I definitely agree.
So
who hasn't seen that, But
do you concur?
Yes, I concur.
Good.
This is not his avocation. This is his specialty.
Okay.
So delving into that, how does one see through the weeds on that one? You're dating somebody, and you're a wealthy person. Is it okay to reel in somebody who's one of those gold digger kind of people?
Well, I think it's about needs, really. I mean, if somebody has a need to be with somebody with a lot of money, and somebody with a lot of money has a need to be with somebody who's attractive and 40 years old, then it works.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, totally. It's right. In a lot of those relationships, that's how they function. It's both are filling a need for the other.
Well, there's an old joke that goes on, and Paul was one that privied me to this one. Now, along the way, we always on Friends with Benefits here, we have good sense of humors, right, Jay?
We have excellent sense of humor.
And Jay, you were...
I'm hilarious, personally.
Yeah, you are, and you're a comedian. And
that's true.
You know, right? You
yes.
Did some stand-up in your time.
I did.
But Paul, do you have something to offer? Or tell us this little story.
Yeah, this is a little bit long, but it's pretty funny, and it
tells it all.
It's a very long joke. It kind of explains what we're talking about. It says they opened this store called the Husband Store. And it sells new husbands where women may go and choose a husband. Instructions for shoppers say, you may visit this store only once. There are 6 floors, and the number of products increase floor by floor. Once you go up the next floor, you cannot go back down except to exit the building. So a woman goes to the husband store, and on the first floor, she gets in there, and the sign says, these men have jobs. So she goes up to the second floor. It says, these men have jobs and love kids. Goes up to floor 3. These men have jobs, love kids, and are extremely good looking. Wow, she thinks, but is compelled to keep going. Floor 4. These men have jobs, love kids, and are drop-dead good looking and help with housework. Oh, mercy me, she explains, I can hardly stand it. She goes to the 5th floor. These men have jobs, love kids, are drop-dead gorgeous, help with housework, and have a strong romantic streak. She is so tempted, she goes up to the 6th floor. The sign says, "You are visitor number 31,456,000 to this floor. There are no men on this floor. The floor exists solely as proof that women are impossible to please." But to avoid gender bias, the store owner opened a new wives store just across the street. Floor 1 has wives that love sex. Floor 2 that has wives that love sex and have money. Floor 3 to 6 have never been visited.
95.9 WATD, Friends with Benefits. Thank you, Paul, for that. It's like a sermon. He was like a reverend there. So there is, you got to admit, there's a percentage of validity to that old wise tale and joke.
Yes, as with most sayings.
You said that great, by the way. It was like the night before Christmas.
Thank
Me and
you.
Jay were listening. Like,
It was. Yep.
waiting for Santa Claus to come down that chimney over there.
He might be showing up any minute now.
But so in a microcosm, that's a bottomless pit theory almost. That's
Yes, well, there's a reason for jokes. Yeah, they're usually based on reality.
Are they really? Well, you know, in the long and short of it, that tells me a lot. But going into it, you and I talked off the air about the days of our lives in the People magazine.
Through the sands of the hourglass.
Yes, all those important publications. When you see someone with a stack of Us and People and Star magazine.
Screw Up Your Life magazine.
And so we were talking about, especially when you're a male and you're looking for qualities in a female, and that's important to you because you're looking for a relationship. And you were mentioning some of the red flags, maybe, that you might sense. Just basic red flags that, you know, they don't seem like much, but they might be very telling.
So what's a red flag? What's a red flag?
Well, Paul will elaborate what he's talking about.
Well, first, you have to go back to what we talked about earlier. What is it that you're looking for? You know, if you want someone who's intelligent, who's a professional woman, you know, that you can discuss politics with and world events, and you see someone who...
I'm into loyalty. That's why I think like a yellow lab is great because you can discuss politics and talk about stuff like that.
There you go. They always agree.
Right.
They always agree.
It's perfect.
Yes.
Right. Not very good in the kitchen, but you know.
I think to summarize Paul's point, though, is that when you're possibly with somebody who's on the soap opera circuit on a daily basis, and that's their basic television viewing.
Right. For me, that would be a pretty big red flag. I got to get home and watch General Hospital or Days of Our Lives.
Right.
Or it's okay, I'm recording it. We can go out. I'll watch it later.
Wow. It's something you're not interested in, is it?
No.
No. So, as candid as that is, though, out there, if you see that and that's not in your need structure or in your want structure as an individual, maybe that's something you want to be very aware of. Because that's kind of the nation we're in sometimes now. If you're looking for that, you know, that Shakespeare in the Park kind of experience from your date.
Oh, the gene pool in America, if you pick up, you know, USA Today and look at what everyone's watching, Dancing with the Stars and American Idol, and the dumbing down of America.
It's scary.
It is scary.
It is scary.
Shakespeare in the Park, interesting.
Well,
I saw Shakespeare in the Park, Max. I got mugged.
But the whole point is, you know, like just worldly news at this point, I think that a large percentage of male and females, you know, like the missing airliner, which you're part of, you're into your pilot. You basically are into this, and so is everybody else. But it's a top story.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the other stories below that, 90% of us know nothing about.
Right.
You know.
Well, you see this if you really are well read and you try to discuss political issues with a lot of people. A lot of people with strong opinions who don't know what they're talking about.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's our point ultimately. But you know, we have to go off to commercial break. So you're listening to 95.9 WATD, Friends with Benefits. You're listening with Paul Parys, author of Square Peg Round Hole. I'm Brian Stratton, also Jay Gillespie. We'll see you right after this commercial break.
Hey, this is Ted Nugent celebrating the American dream on Friends with Benefits with my buddy Brian Stratton on 95.9 WATD.
Experience the Atlantis Sports Club difference. Atlantis Sports Club and Spas are located throughout Massachusetts, including locations in Braintree, Holbrook, and Hyannis, featuring state-of-the-art cardiovascular and strength training equipment, plus indoor and outdoor pools and full-service spas. Atlantis offers something for everyone. How about Zumba, spinning, and strength training classes, swim lessons for the kids, or a luxurious spa treatment? Your Atlantis membership allows access to all locations. Atlantis Braintree, located off the highway across from the South Shore Plaza, features beautiful indoor and outdoor pools. You'll find the newest Holbrook location next to Stop and Shop with plenty of parking and a spacious floor plan. Take a mini vacation at Atlantis Sports Club and Spa in Hyannis. Play golf, then relax by the resort-style pool. End the day with a relaxing treatment at the spa at Atlantis. Mention this ad and receive 20% off any spa treatment. Experience the Atlantis difference today. Visit AtlantisSportsClubs.com and book your tour today.
Hey, it's Brian Stratton, and I'd like to talk to you about Mamma Mia's restaurant. With 5 convenient locations around the South Shore, you don't have to drive far to enjoy delicious Italian cuisine, just the way you like it. Whether you're in Carver, Plymouth, Hanover, Kingston, or the new location in Green Harbor, Mamma Mia's is something to please any palate. Catering, gift cards, and takeout are available 7 days a week. Contact Mamma Mia's online at mammamias.net. That's mammamias.net.
The law office of Philip M. Markella is a full-service law firm with a focus on family and divorce law. When your marriage dissolves, Phil's office will help you navigate those often rough waters. They'll represent your interests with respect and compassion. The law office of Philip M. Markella also assists with estate planning, real estate transactions, and adoptions. Get in touch with the law office of Philip M. Markella, 19 Depot Street, Duxbury. Their telephone number, 781-934-7977, 781-934-7977, and on the web at markellalaw.com. That's MARKELLA law.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Kelly, owner of Duxbury Motorworks, a family business where we put the human touch into everything we do, with friendly, honest service at the best prices. We explain and prioritize what should be done now and what can wait, keeping you involved by bringing you into the shop to answer your questions or emailing you pictures of needed repairs. Our comfortable waiting area has free Wi-Fi, TV, coffee, and Kids Unplugged. That's our play area for children and adults where quality time spent together may just have your kids asking when they can come back. At Duxbury Motorworks, we provide the best warranty of 3 years, 36,000 miles on new parts we install, and we'll meet or beat any written estimate on tires or repairs. Great customer service is Duxbury Motorworks. Call 781-452-7471. Stop by 1474 Tremont Street at the corner of Route 139 and 3A, or visit DuxburyMotorworks.com to make your appointment. We still offer a basic oil change and tire rotation with multi-point inspection for $14.95. Duxbury Motorworks, we are the dealer alternative.
Hello folks, Ed Brown from The Snug. Known as the home of the perfect pint, The Snug is located in historic downtown Hingham at 116 North Street. A quaint yet exciting Irish-style pub, we offer breakfast on the weekends, lunch and dinner 7 days a week with daily lunch and dinner specials. The Snug features a state-of-the-art European draft system with 14 European and domestic microbrews on tap. If you appreciate acoustic classic rock, we feature a variety of local musicians. Join us every Monday at 5:30 for our traditional Irish session. Visit us online at snugpub.com for our complete entertainment schedule. Remember, The Snug is a place where good friends and families come together to enjoy great food, live music, and always the perfect pint.
Be a part of the show. 781-837-4900.
I'm going around the country. I'm trying to get as many people as I can not to get married. I promise never to get married. I've been married, and I'm just trying to help. Okay? Somebody here has never been married? You never been married? What's your name? Michael? Well, Michael, if you ever think about getting married, if you ever think you've met the right woman, you want to settle down, change your life, you do me a favor, Mike? Remember this face. Because if you get married, Mike, that's going to be your face every day. It's the face of every married man. He wakes up in the morning. It's the truth, man. He wakes up in the morning, he goes to the mirror, he looks in it, and goes, "Rah! Ah! What did I do to my life? It's true, folks.
And the number one reason your woman's always mad, fellas, the number one reason your woman is pissed, because you ain't her first choice. Fellas, you ever catch your woman just looking at you, but not saying nothing? In her mind, she's thinking, how did I end up with this ugly mother? Oh, Lord, this mother ugly and stupid. I had a good man and I blew it. Damn, Lord, kill my man. Kill him, please. Kill him while I still look good enough to get something new. Please kill this mother. Now, strike him. Strike him. If you out there, Lord, strike this mother dead.
95.9 WATD. Friends with Benefits here with Jay Gillespie, Brian Stratton, I am, and we have Paul Parys. How you doing, Paul?
I'm doing outstanding, Brian. Glad to be here with you.
It took a long time, but it was very much worth the wait. Paul is the future author of the book, Square Peg, Round Hole. Tells us everything we need to know and your feelings about how relationships start and continue. I don't know. We'll delve more into this book, but like I said, why don't we tell the listeners once again, if you just tuned in, a little bit about why you started this whole foray.
Just from observing people and watching the same thing happen over and over unsuccessfully for a lot of people around you in the world, and I think most people have witnessed similar things.
And so, at the end of the day, okay, you're very well read. You've read all these books, these relationships books, these schematics about males and females and their tendencies. Like, what is a male looking for? A male, just your basic everyday male. What, in your opinion, is he looking for from a woman?
Well, Dr. Laura's book is primarily about this, and she wrote it after counseling a lot of women who were having problems in their marriages. And her the gist of her book is that, women who get married, about probably 20% of them marry guys that are drug addicts, alcoholics, losers, don't want to work. But she says the majority of women marry a guy who loves them, wants to be their husband and spend time with them. And she asks, the big thing, I think the title of her book indicates, is that men are kind of like golden retrievers, most guys. If you feed them and rub their belly, they're very, very simple creatures. And she gets into talking about how there's a lot of women, they complain about their husband, and then she says, well, how often do you have sex with your husband? And the woman says, well, I'm too busy for that. And when's the last time you gave him a big hug and thanked him for working hard if you're a stay-at-home mom? Well, I've never done that. And that's the gist of the book. But I think men want someone they're attracted to, that they can take care of and treats them the same.
There's a funny contradiction here. Is that so? Do people? Is it better to get married for the ideal of love, or is marriage more like a business, or is it a combination of both? What do you think?
I'll give Paul that one.
I think it's back to what we talked about. It depends on what people are looking for. I think there's business relationships out there like Bill and Hillary Clinton, that right. I'm getting what I want out of this, you're getting what you want. And, maybe love isn't on your list of what you want to get married for, each to their own.
Not in your top 10.
I think the Clinton marriage is a bad example of marriages to generally as a
well, but we're talking about business relationship.
Well, that is a business relationship.
Right.
I mean,
and
right down the line.
What is your goal to get out of the marriage?
I can't wait for those late night talk shows, though. If Bill Clinton ever becomes the first husband,
he should have a talk show.
It's amazing
right now.
Yeah.
He is a talk show. He's a walking,
he should have a late night talk show.
A walking virtual talk show.
So now, Brian, we've talked some about women and the husband store. You were telling me earlier.
Before we get to that, though,
okay,
I need to, and I'm sorry to interrupt, Paul, but I want to know why some of these women at age 38 and 40 kind of hit a wall, and they look around and they see their perfect life. And I read through some of your manuscript of your book, and there was something called BHS. What does that stand for, BHS?
That's bored housewife syndrome.
Okay, so we see the bored housewife syndrome. So ultimately, that bored housewife syndrome, that kicks in at a certain age, generally late 30s, early 40s. The kids are getting older, less to do. They look at their life, they go, what's the next 10 years bring me? Might have the best guy in the world, but decides to move on anyway.
Yes.
Okay, so what's the logical reason for this?
Well, I think we both have seen.
What does a predatory female say?
What I think everybody has probably seen this around with people we know. The person who, you've got a buddy who has a wife and she runs around in the Escalade and gets up at noon, gets her nails done, and then orders dinner at night. And you meet someone like that, and a lot of times they're depressed. They're seeing a therapist. They're taking medication for their depression,
which is rampant right now in society.
I look at that and say, well, if someone said to me, "What are your passions?" and I said, "I have none," and they said, "What do you do for a living?" "I don't." "What have you accomplished?" "Nothing." I'd hurl myself in front of a train. And I think that a lot of people like that in life who don't have a lot of passions or have a career they love, I think it's probably natural to become not feel so good about yourself and be depressed, and then you look for other things to fulfill you.
And you get a little restless. I mean, is this central to just women? Because, I mean, for me, I'm in a perfectly nice relationship with a blender right now, and it's, I'm a little bit.
Right. And if you get bored with the blender, they'd call it a midlife crisis.
That's right.
Yes.
And I'll move on to, you
could go get a red Porsche and...
I don't know if I'll go as far as a red Porsche. Maybe just like a, what's another appliance I could put in there? Maybe a toaster.
Wow, that hurts. But anyways...
It would hurt the blender.
It would hurt the blender, of course.
So have you seen what I just described, Brian? What's your opinion on this?
I can see this, but I just, sometimes, in predatory female, which is the schematic, the field guide to the predatory female, which we keep referring to, which was written in the 80s, describes this as almost like more common than not common. Is that right?
Well, I'd say it kind of depends on where you live in the demographics as well. We live, Boston and the greater Boston area is a pretty affluent place, so you'll find more people probably in this kind of situation.
Sure.
Anywhere where you go, where it's more urban, affluent environment.
So let me ask you this: in the couple years ensuing after that, say they take a sabbatical from their family and their husbands, and then maybe they want to go back to that life. I see that more often too. Maybe half the time that they look at their life and they go, 2 years later, they regret their decision to blow the whole thing up. They've blown it up. Mm-hmm. 2, 3, 4 years later, there's an issue.
Yes.
Is that common? What do you see?
Oh, I think there's any number of outcomes.
You're international, so you see it all.
I think somebody who gets restless like that could be the end of your whole marriage. Wheels can come off and it could be done. No, there's people who have those, husbands or wives take excursions from the marriage and then they end up working it out and getting back together.
What about the divorce remorse? When they've been away for a couple of years and now they've realized that they made a terrible mistake or they're not happy.
Oh, I think a lot of people run for the greener pasture and then figure out that the pasture they left is
where they wanted to be in the first place.
Yes.
Bottom line is monogamy is very difficult. It's very difficult.
Speak for yourself, Jay.
No, I mean ducks are monogamous. Mice are not monogamous. You know why? Because then they'd be monogamice.
All right, listen, that's enough.
Okay, we're taking the mic away.
You're suspended for the next 15 minutes, Jay. We're going to bring up Deb from Grill 58. Deb, how are you?
I'm great, thanks.
Deb, now, you've been part of the restaurant business for years, and we want to interview you because you're a nice female, that we know, and have done so many great things with the restaurant business. Now, I'm a good friend of Dave's, who is one of the owners here, alongside you. Tell us how long Grill 58 in Halifax has been around.
June will be the start of our 6th year here.
Well, and it seems like it just gets better and better here.
It all comes down to good food, good service, and great prices, and we have a great staff here.
Now, as I alluded to, we're giving away $25 gift cards to Grill 58, a number of them tonight. So CTA Management at rocketmail.com. If you'd like to email us and enter the contest, we'll be gladly to send you those gift certificates. Grill 58, tell us what do you do brunches, or is it lunch and dinner exclusively, or how does that work?
Lunch and dinner, 11 to 11. Sunday mornings we do a breakfast.
You do a breakfast, and what time is that?
From 7 to 11.
7 to 11. Mm-hmm. Okay. So basically, what is some of your main food items that are the best?
Well, if you asked our customers, they would tell you it's seafood. We're pretty much known for our seafood. It's fresh daily catch, and we buy the best product that we can buy. And we have a great kitchen staff that we've had somewhere in the realm of 13 years now. So they do it well.
It's amazing. And like I said, I just had started eating here maybe the last month, and to me, it's one of the top 3 or 4 places on the South Shore you can go.
Thank you very much.
And I go to a lot of places, and I go to some high-end places.
Well, we work hard. It's a lot of work, but it's very gratifying. We have wonderful customers here, and they're more like family than they are anything.
Well, the word is definitely spread. And do you have a website?
We do, grill58.com.
And you're right on Route 58 in Halifax. What's the actual physical address?
284 Montponset Street in Halifax.
Now, you guys sophisticated enough to have a Facebook?
We do.
You do? What is that? It's just Grill 58?
Just Grill 58, yeah.
Okay. And you might be doing a little entertainment here in the future, once in a while. So that sounds good, too, because I talked to Dave, and Infractions might be playing here every once in a while.
From what I've heard, they're a great band.
Love the Infractions.
You got to like those guys. Well, thanks, Deb, for coming on the station.
You're welcome.
We'll give those gift certificates away. We'll get Jay back on the line, and we'll get Paul Parys back here. Paul, any thoughts? I mean, you were just talking to me about some thoughts before I interrupted you. What was on your mind?
Oh, we were just talking about the bored housewife syndrome, which occurs in women. In men, they call it a midlife crisis. But in the root cause being, I think that, or in my humble opinion, people who don't have a lot going on in their life, it's pretty tough to be happy and excited and fulfilled.
Sure. But, I mean, do you attribute, I do definitely see the medicated, there's a lot of those BHS, bored housewife syndrome, people that you're talking about, alluding to, they're medicated, on antidepressants, and you look at their lives, and they're in pretty good situations financially. Mm-hmm. They're pretty secure. They have healthy family members, but they're still on antidepressants.
Right. Well, because this is one of the most obvious misconceptions in life, but people never learn from it. Money is an accessory. There's as many suicidal wealthy people as there are suicidal poor people, and depressed wealthy people. Money's an accessory. It's not going to make you happy. It's not going to make you unhappy. You take a guy who's happy in the trailer park, give him $250 million in the Powerball, he's going to be happy. Take a guy who's depressed in the trailer park, he's going to be depressed.
Makes sense. What do you think, Jay?
Makes total sense. I think, the bottom line here is that in terms of people, it's and this idea of, you're saying antidepressants, it's very difficult to say that people who are generally have the propensity to be unhappy are then going to be given those antidepressants, and therefore they might be unhappy with the way that their lives are actually going. They might be unhappy with their relationships. They might be unhappy with this, that, or the other thing. Antidepressants isn't going to make or break their lives one way or the other.
Right. And then aside, we're talking about environmental things. There are people that have imbalances and chemical problems beyond that.
Well, what's funny to me we go back to the bottomless pit theory, where nothing is enough. It just perpetually, you can't get enough. But I look into your book that I've read, some of the basics, and there's something we call the BBD that women are striving for all the time after divorce, and that is called, in abbreviation, the bigger, better deal. So let's talk about that a little bit. Why don't you elaborate?
Well, the first thing is, I wouldn't say all women. There's different categories.
Would you throw out a percentage? Would you be?
There are. I have a friend, and she once said to me that, and it's interesting too. There's other things you'll read that questions people ask you or statements people make a lot tell you very much about the person making the statement. And she said to me, she said, all women are always looking for the bigger, better deal, whether they're married or not or dating. It's very interesting if you knew her, because that's very telling about her. The person who made the statement, that's how she is. So she assumes everyone else is that way.
But do you think that all people are looking for the bigger and better deal? Because it seems to me that people get bored and they say, is this all there is? And they're going to look for something else. And the question is, do you have the courage to actually go out and move to something else?
If I can interject, from all the males that I know, they're pretty content where they are. I mean, they're working, they're making a living, they're providing for their family, they're moving from step one to step two, and I don't see it. I don't see it for males. But when we get to the female persuasion, especially when they're 38 and 40, they get divorced after a year or two or whatever it takes their divorce. They might have a boyfriend, and the boyfriend might be a lifeboat. Can we use that term? We'll call him a lifeboat or a driver. And is he secure enough to be, what's the word I'm looking for, Paul? A committed long-term deal?
Right. I think maybe, in my experience, the difference is if a guy, and we're generalizing, if a guy isn't married and he's dating a girl, and, as I said before, dating is like test driving. You're dating someone and you meet someone better. Well, you're not married.
Yeah, you have the right to reserve,
right,
and change things.
And
right.
I think guys do it a lot more when they are not married yet. They're looking for
before their marriage, before their first marriage.
The majority of men, by the time they meet someone that they're like, I want to marry her, and they're really into her. Again, there's habitual cheaters in every sex that the rest of their life will never stop hunting. But I think guys probably do it more when they're dating.
Sure.
And you might see it more with women when they're married.
Well, ultimately, we do see that. We've seen it, and I've read the books, not all the books, but especially the predatory female, which we keep referring to by what's his name, the Reverend
Shannon Lawrence.
Right. He refers to that book as it's hard to describe, and it's almost on the radio. It's awkward to say, but they're predators.
But it's, I think, because, women have control over relationships. I think they have more control, than men have over relationships.
Well,
they can be a little bit more manipulative.
It's interesting in the book. He says there's two types of women. There's the predatory female, and there's the long ball hitter. And the long ball hitter is that what you're looking for. That woman who's fun, who's great, who'll treat you the way you treat her, and that's your goal, to meet the long ball hitter. But he also, some people will listen to this stuff or read the book, and they'll say, oh, he hates women. And he says, I don't hate women. He goes, as a matter of fact, this is just what I'm writing about. This is how women are. And he says, I blame men, because men are the idiots who are the enablers that are dating someone that isn't appropriate for them. And then...
Well, I find it interesting because a lot of the time when the men are a challenge at the beginning of the relationship and they're not totally invested, there seems to be much more interest and passion between the two. And once they kind of commit and they throw out four-letter words like love,
okay,
they lose their leverage almost. They almost lose their leverage. And in the long scheme, it actually hurts them.
Well, in it, that for sure, and that goes a little bit with men both ways, towards men and women. And there's an old saying, everybody wants to be in the club they can't get into. And I think that's true of men and women. Be the challenge. That's a chapter in my book.
Well, unfortunately, men, when they concede that they have love in that situation, it becomes a different dynamic, can we say?
Yes, people are, there's that whole excitement. I hope he or she will be interested in me. I hope he or she will go out with me again. And when you walk up and go, hey, you can have the whole farm. I'm all yours. I'm like silly putty. Just do what you want.
Yeah, all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, that's nice.
Right.
That's what I've been working for. Now that I've gotten it, I want more than that.
What's the old saying? It's like a cat and a mouse. The cat plays with the mouse till the cat catches the mouse, then the game's over.
It's boring, yep.
Well, and that's what I see a lot of the time, especially after divorce. I see, especially when a woman who's in a divorce, say you're a man and you've found a woman who's in the course of a divorce, and they're still officially married but not together, and you're a man dating this woman, and everything's great, but then the divorce papers come in, and when the divorce papers are officially coming in, her hands are untied, and there just seems to be a changing of the winds.
Oh, for sure. And actually, women are smarter about this. I've heard women talk more about it, saying, hey, he just got separated. You don't want to date him and be rebound woman.
Well, that's the point.
Right.
It's like
Rebound person.
They sniff it out.
Rebound person is a temporary lifeboat till you find a better yacht to get on.
Right. And you're looking for that port.
You don't want to get wet.
Interesting thing you said, Brian, was that you said that men are more content in relationships than women. But I think that men get complacent in relationships, and that actually ends up boring women. And that's when women actually start to go out and seek other people. And I mean, it's, you know.
Well, the main thing is too is to have a line of communication and have like therapy, even things like a counselor. Even before you even need the counselor, have the counselor. That way you can talk through things and have that third unbiased party.
Well, but if you really have a healthy relationship, you don't need a third party. You sit down and communicate. You say, hey, I'd like to see this. I'd like to do more of this.
No question.
But is part of this because men are, as you said, the hunters, that they're actually sort of, you know, that's the part of the game that they're actually good at, and when they actually have that mouse, it all becomes boring after a while, and then it's the mouse that actually moves on.
I think... Who is the guy from the men's show? There was Jimmy Kimmel and
yes.
Adam Carolla.
Yep.
He's got a book, and he says in about 3 more generations we'll all be women. and you know, women really, what do they want? They want a manly man. They want an alpha male who takes the lead. And what we've got, I can't even say it on the radio, but there's, you know, a lot of good things about let's say, the softening of men in America. There's YouTube videos. Men are turning into women. What woman wants to date a woman?
Not many, but listen, Paul Parys, thank you. We're going to go to commercial break. You're listening to 95.9 WATD, Friends with Benefits.
Hi, everybody. It's Joe Walsh. You're listening to my buddy Brian Stratton on Friends with Benefits, WATD.
The law office of Philip M. Markella is a full-service law firm with a focus on family and divorce law. When your marriage dissolves, Phil's office will help you navigate those often rough waters. They'll represent your interests with respect and compassion. The law office of Philip M. Markella also assists with estate planning, real estate transactions, and adoptions. Get in touch with the law office of Philip M. Markella, 19 Depot Street, Duxbury. Their telephone number, 781-934-7977, 781-934-7977, and on the web at markellalaw.com. That's MARKELLA law.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Kelly, owner of Duxbury Motorworks, a family business where we put the human touch into everything we do, with friendly, honest service at the best prices. We explain and prioritize what should be done now and what can wait, keeping you involved by bringing you into the shop to answer your questions or emailing you pictures of needed repairs. Our comfortable waiting area has free Wi-Fi, TV, coffee, and Kids Unplugged. That's our play area for children and adults where quality time spent together may just have your kids asking when they can come back. At Duxbury Motorworks, we provide the best warranty of 3 years, 36,000 miles on new parts we install. And we will meet or beat any written estimate on tires or repairs. Great customer service is Duxbury Motorworks. Call 781-452-7471. Stop by 1474 Tremont Street at the corner of Route 139 and 3A, or visit DuxburyMotorworks.com to make your appointment. We still offer a basic oil change and tire rotation with multi-point inspection for $14.95. Duxbury Motorworks, we are the dealer alternative.
Hey, it's Brian Stratton, and I'd like to talk to you about Mamma Mia's restaurant. With 5 convenient locations around the South Shore, you don't have to drive far to enjoy delicious Italian cuisine, just the way you like it. Whether you're in Carver, Plymouth, Hanover, Kingston, or the new location in Green Harbor, Mamma Mia's is something to please any palate. Catering, gift cards, and takeout are available 7 days a week. Contact Mamma Mia's online at mamamias.net. That's mamamias.net.
Why pay too much for insurance? Instead, call the Good Ale Company for a free personalized insurance estimate. A family-owned and operated insurance company for over 50 years, they were just awarded the best insurance agency on the South Shore in the Wicked Local Readers' Choice Awards. The Good Ale Company is committed to offering high-value, low-cost insurance personalized to meet your needs. Call the Good Ale Company at 781-383-0787 and ask for Craig Martin. Located on 3A in Cohasset, the Good Ale Company works hard to find you the highest quality insurance at the lowest price possible while providing customer service with a personal touch.
Experience the Atlantis Sports Club difference. Atlantis Sports Club and Spas are located throughout Massachusetts, including locations in Braintree, Holbrook, and Hyannis, featuring state-of-the-art cardiovascular and strength training equipment, plus indoor and outdoor pools and full-service spas. Atlantis offers something for everyone. How about Zumba, spinning, and strength training classes, swim lessons for the kids, or a luxurious spa treatment? Your Atlantis membership allows access to all locations. Atlantis Braintree, located off the highway across from the South Shore Plaza, features beautiful indoor and outdoor pools. You'll find the newest Holbrook location next to Stop and Shop with plenty of parking and a spacious floor plan. Take a mini vacation at Atlantis Sports Club and Spa in Hyannis. Play golf, then relax by the resort-style pool. End the day with a relaxing treatment at the spa at Atlantis. Mention this ad and receive 20% off any spa treatment. Experience the Atlantis difference today. Visit AtlantisSportsClubs.com and book your tour today.
95.9 WATD Friends with Benefits here on Wednesday night at Grill 58 in Halifax, right on Route 58. Having a great meal and enjoying ourselves. We're at the end of the show. We'd like to thank Paul Parys and Jay Gillespie. Paul Parys, Square Peg Round Hole. Now, that's your book you're working on. So any parting thoughts for the listeners? I mean, we didn't even get to the baiters, which next time you're on, we'll talk about that.
Oh, you're going to put that off
now. Well, baiters infiltrate. They enter or gain access to women surreptitiously and gradually. So ultimately, and we know a few of these guys, very locally. Duxbury, Plymouth.
Yes, so for you women listening, that Brian's been a little tough on women, he's going to be tough on men on the next show.
Yeah, and you'll be here right with me, Paul, as we have already. I'm looking at some of the emails on my phone, and people are asking about who you are and will you come back on. So we'll get you back on within a week or two.
Sounds great.
To confound on this. And Jay, thanks for coming back.
Thanks, Brian.
We'll sign off here. You're listening to 95.9 W8TD, Friends with Benefits. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great week.